You are listening to Productivity Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after productivity coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives entrepreneurs the straight talk on personal productivity. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to Productivity Straight Talk. Today is episode 153. We are not babysitters. If you're a business owner who wants to improve your time management and elevate your productivity so you can maximize your profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. We're going to be diving into an episode that was inspired by a comment that one of my one-on-one coaching clients made. And I cannot wait to pull back the curtains of what I had to say about the comment. Before we jump in, I want to remind you that if you have not gone and grabbed your free on-demand Take Back Your Time training, go do so right now. Head on over to theproductivityspecialist.com/take back your time. And if you have not done so, you may want to join me inside the Productivity Straight Talk Direct, which is my weekly email that I send out only to my Productivity Straight Talk Direct members. And in there, you get exclusive content, first to know about upcoming trainings and opportunities to work with me, but you will never miss another episode or my personal thoughts about why I'm bringing that episode to you. So if you want to make sure you don't miss another episode and get exclusive content, you can join us by going to theproductivityspecialist.com/direct. And now let's get to the straight talk. We are not babysitters. Who is the we in that statement? Me, your coaches, your mentors, your peers, your employees, your friends. We are not your babysitters. Why am I saying that? Well, babysitters are responsible for the actions of those they supervise, right? Like our kiddos. If I left someone in charge of my son and he burnt his hand, I would most certainly hold the babysitter responsible. But you are not a child, and you are most certainly not looking for a babysitter. But why are we talking about this? Well, let me pull back the curtains on a conversation that I had with a client of mine who will remain nameless. The comment was, I want to do X, and I cannot do it. I am not doing it. I'm not showing up. I'm not being consistent. I talk myself out of it. And therefore, I am going to tell my employees to make me do it. My employees are not allowed to leave until they make me do the thing. This was said a little bit in tongue-in-cheek, but I do know that my client was quite serious about looking for external accountability when he felt as though he didn't have the accountability himself to follow through on the activity that he really wanted to do to serve his business. Now, this is not the first time I've heard this. And I know that maybe you have heard me talk about internal accountability versus external accountability. But I want to start very fresh here because we have a lot of new listeners to Productivity Straight Talk. I do find value in external accountability. In fact, we have an episode that I will link out into the show notes all about how to create external accountability for internal deadlines. But what we're talking about here is when we are looking for someone else to have us do something that we ultimately are not doing ourselves. And that is a recipe for disaster. And I think you know that to be true because it does not matter if you have a fitness coach, a business coach, a peer, a friend, a significant other telling you, hey, you got to go do this thing. Hey, 5 more push-ups. Hey, you said you were going to finish this project to move your business forward. Even if they nudge you, either strongly with a whip or lovingly with some encouragement, You are not going to do the thing unless you dig deep within yourself and decide you are going to do it. And you know this to be true because those people that love us and care about us and support us and create this environment of external accountability have shown up for you, and you have still not done the thing. And so if you want long-term change about showing up in your business and for yourself, you need to first understand that accountability starts and ends with you. Period. Accountability starts and ends with you. Now, if you want to experience some external accountability in the middle of that, I highly advise it. But again, it starts and ends with you. What does that look like? When I work with my clients, I honestly see it as a partnership. I am coming alongside you and creating a space of accountability that in my world and my style of coaching looks different for each client, but 100% authentic to who I am. And what I mean by that is that I am not this, one-dimensional hard ass that's cracking a whip on my clients. But when the time and place requires it, I definitely show up sternly. And I remind you about what your goals are and why you chose to do this work. But I'm also compassionate, and I'm also your biggest cheerleader. And that also shows up equally in any coaching session, or rather any relationship I have with my clients. And so accountability is in how it shows up from someone can be a very wide spectrum. And for me, I would tell you that one of my biggest gifts as a coach is knowing what type of accountability you need and what times. Now, whether I decide that it's appropriate to be completely straight talking with you or really, really compassionate and holding space and grace for you in that moment, it all comes from a perspective of I am here to support you and I'm your partner. Because it does not matter what I say. It does not matter how much contact we have with each other. It does not matter how much I cheerlead you on. If you are not willing to do the work to show up for yourself, there is nobody in this entire world that can make that happen for you. And I hope that you're hearing me as lovingly as possible, because here's the deal. I am not responsible for my clients' actions. And if there's any coach out there that you've either worked with or thought of working for that is taking the responsibility of your action, I would challenge you that that is actually doing you a disservice. Because I take responsibility for maybe my son's actions, right? If we go into a store and he breaks something, I am his parent and I will be responsible. But I am not responsible for my clients' actions. They are grown. They absolutely know what's best for them. So where do I come along? I come along to remind you of the vision you had for yourself. I come alongside you and hold space to the dream that you literally laid out in front of me when we started to work together. And that is so important, because when you are in the midst of hard, when you are doing things that feel overwhelming, it's so easy to lose sight of why we're doing those things. It's so easy to lose sight of where we're going. And I think that if you choose to have someone come alongside you, that is an incredible way to have that accountability, but they are not responsible for your actions. I can see in my life how often my husband has been a great accountability partner for me. And as much as I love him and for as long as we've been together, he still can't make me do anything I don't want to do. But he can definitely provide words of encouragement. He can definitely remind me about why it is I said, hey, when I do this, can you just kind of remind me that that's not something I want to choose? I think that in this world, and especially as business owners, there is a place for external accountability, and it can be incredibly powerful. In fact, one of the reasons that external accountability is so powerful is because we often show up differently for others than we do ourselves. And again, this is a statement that I think you already know to be true. This shows up in our time management, right? Like when we have an appointment on a calendar, we are not going to just not show up. We're not going to just show up late with no negotiation or explanation to reschedule. And yet we do it to ourselves far too often when on our calendar is something that only we know about. And generally, that thing that only we know about are those tasks and projects that are going to move you forward and propel you towards achieving your goals. And yet, why are we not showing up with the same integrity for ourselves and being impeccable with our word as we would with someone else? And this is why I want to encourage you to focus on the fact that accountability starts and ends with you, and encourage you to practice having a relationship of respect with yourself as you do with others regarding what you say you're going to do and doing it. When we practice that and we strive to get better in those types of things, like self-discipline, being impeccable with our word, doing what we say we're going to do, you will see a huge improvement in your productivity and your growth and ultimately your business revenue. So, why are we not babysitters? We are not babysitters because there is no one that can dip into your life and your business and provide you with accountability if you don't have self-accountability. So I would encourage you to dig deep and really figure out what is it that you want. And are you willing to say yes to yourself? And are you willing to show up for yourself? And if you need someone to come alongside you and cheerlead you or straight talk you, I encourage you to do that because that is a recipe for success, both internal and external accountability. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I would love to know your thoughts about this. Where are you finding external accountability? And do you agree with me? Do you agree that true accountability ultimately starts and ends with you? I would love to hear. Feel free to connect with me on Facebook, and you can find me at The Productivity Specialist or on Instagram, and that is Amber_De La Garza. DM me, tag me in your posts of listening to this episode. I would love to hear from you. I literally create these episodes for you, and I want to hear from you. 2 reminders before we close out. Make sure you go grab my free on-demand mini training, Take Back Your Time. theproductivityspecialist.com/take back your time. And if you don't want to miss another episode and you want to get exclusive content, get on our Productivity Straight Talk direct email. You can do that by going to theproductivityspecialist.com/direct, and the links will be in the notes in your podcast app. So just go to the notes section, scroll, and click on the links to get both of those for free today. So that's my straight talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.